Welcome to the official 2,000 subscriber YouTube special podcast here on Wild West Trail with a very special guest, Carmen Rayo, all the way up from Argentina.
Sí.
And if you guys have been watching the channel for a long time, you know Carmen was a co-founding member of Wild West Trail. You haven't seen a whole lot of them, but here he is in Alaska on the homestead.
I'm back, baby. I'm back.
And we're live from the new headquarters here in beautiful Kasilof, Alaska, and it's just perfect out. And Carmen, why don't you tell the fine folks? Well, first of all, by the way, we are YouTube celebrities now. 2,000 subscribers. This is what it feels like to be a celebrity.
Yeah.
So now that everybody is waiting with bated breath
Oh yeah.
for their favorite celebrity, the return,
Castaway.
Castaway. Tell everyone, what have you been up to for these last couple of years?
Well, dude, it's been a wild ride. Well, we did the Wild West Trail. We did that epic hike that no one's ever matched since.
No one can do it.
And when you do something like that, it's like, what's next? What's next? And everything was just like kind of boring. We were in Boise for a while.
Yeah.
And look, Boise has its charms, and there's lots to do outside.
We got charged by a bear.
We got charged by a bear a couple of times. There was some adventure in Idaho for sure.
Definitely.
I guess it just came down to I just needed a change.
Yeah.
And so I just went south. And I just kept going south till I got to South America. and then when I ended up in Colombia for about 6 months, and then after that I was down in Argentina, which is even more south, for about 10 months.
Yeah. And then you went back and forth to Jersey for some layovers.
I did a little fishing in Jersey here and there.
Yeah. Yeah, your cousin is a commercial fisherman.
He commercial fishes out there, so got a pretty sweet deal.
What are they catching out there?
Well, I guess for him, it's his license is for fluke, rod and reel, but you're getting striped bass. Right, this year there's actually tuna out there.
Really?
Oh yeah.
Is he catching tuna?
Well, you need to get in the ocean for that, about 5-6 miles out. But
out of the bay.
You can't get them in the bay. Yeah, you got to get out there. But in the bay you're getting, like I said, stripers, triggerfish, which are delicious. They're not even commercially, nobody buys them, but they're like a fluke, but they're better. It's like a denser, firmer meat.
Ooh.
It looks just like a fluke. It's like that type of. Yeah. There's a lot of life in that. There's a lot of life out there.
I got a buddy in Miami. He spearfishes triggerfish. He loves them. He says they're delicious.
Oh, triggerfish.
But he says the same thing. Nobody knows about these fish.
Yeah, my cousin was telling me a story like because he sells his fluke commercially. He's like, I get a bunch of this triggerfish if you want it. The guys are like, nah, we don't sell it. Just give us the fluke. Because it doesn't have the name recognition. It doesn't have a market for it, but it's better.
It is better. Yeah. They're fun to catch too.
Oh, they're fun to catch. They usually live on wrecks. But that's pretty much where I've been the last couple of years. Joel's been telling me basically, you got to come up to Alaska. You got to come up to Alaska. And I've been meaning to come up here. For whatever reason, I just couldn't fit it in. What kind of an idiot? Because I should have came up here 3 years ago. It would have been a much different. I had a good time down in South America.
Well, it's good that you waited for the homestead to have a little bit more of an imprint, honestly.
Right. Yeah.
So, because, 3 years ago I didn't have all this, but now we had kind of at the headquarters, and we're waiting for the cement to be poured.
Right.
It's going to be poured this week while you're here. And so we'll get the foundation in, and that's just going to be awesome. And I can't wait for that.
That's going to be exciting.
But, okay, so you're down in Argentina. What are you doing in Argentina for fun? What do you do there for fun?
Well, what does anybody do for fun? There's plenty of things to do. It's just whatever you're interested in. For me, I was really appreciating learning Spanish.
Yep.
So I'd go to all these meetups, and you're dating girls who don't speak English.
Oh.
So that really helps you. Oh yeah,
there's a language.
There was some of that
exchange.
There's un poco cambio de idioma, sí, un poco. Pero
is it cheap or
cheap.
Are you saving money going down there?
Actually, you know what I'm thinking about? Actually, South America was terrible, guys. You shouldn't go. It was very expensive. The women are terrible, and it's just no fun. So, I actually, now that I think about it, there's nothing good about it. And actually, while we're on the topic, Alaska kind of sucks too.
Yeah.
Definitely don't come here.
Yeah, you don't want to be up here.
Don't come here.
Don't come here.
Yeah.
Stay in California. Stay in the suburbs. Stay in the cities.
It's better that way.
It's better. Let your favorite celebrities put themselves out here on the line for you to live vicariously through us.
Absolutely. And it's funny, you're using this word celebrity kind of loosely, but the fact is,
2,000 subs,
we are celebrity. And look, after the first 1,000, things changed for us, right? After that first 1,000 subscribers, we were getting recognized. I mean, I was getting recognized in Boise, and You know, a lot of other people wanted to reach out to collab. We were on podcast. I mean, there's a lot of stuff. Newspapers giving speeches. REI speaking to 50, you know,
50 people.
50 people. 50 dozen. 50.
A dozen or two dozen people.
And so things started changing around 1,000 subscribers. Now, since 2,000 hit, well, now it's the big time.
It's a completely different world. You know, we're now monetized.
We're monetized. Well, that's where you're pouring the concrete.
Why do you think? Where do you think we get all this money for the
Right,
concrete? It's this YouTube money, and we couldn't do it without our wonderful subscribers. And if you haven't subscribed yet, please hit the subscribe button.
Please click the subscribe button, and also share this with your friends.
You can tell them this is everybody's favorite outdoor channel.
Right, keep supporting our lifestyle. I mean, because you're living vicariously through us, so let us live the best life possible by supporting the mission here.
Channel.
Yeah, supporting
and the
channel.
mission is what to, just have I think freedom though.
Absolutely.
Ultimately, the channel is about freedom. And we had an interesting comment the other day. One of our long-term watchers. Hey, you should change the name Wild West Trail. Because you guys aren't hiking so much anymore. You know, we got the homestead videos. We did have Carmen hiking in South America though, so we still hike.
Right.
There's probably more fishing videos up there than hiking as of late. I just had a motorcycle video. He was like, maybe we should change the name to Wild West Life or something. It was an interesting idea. I see where he's coming from, but we're not going to change the name. It's a brand now. And we always remember where we came from.
And also, I want to touch on that. You know, part of the impetus when we were creating the Wild West Trail, it wasn't just about doing the trail. I think part of it was we wanted to inspire people that, look, if you can get outside and you can walk and you can do this, you're going to free your mind. You're going to free all other aspects of it. You're going to realize what you can do as a human being. And I think part of this idea of freedom, it's about human liberation.
It's about ultimate responsibility on the individual and doing what you do best, what you want to do. Listen, if you don't want to hike, that's cool, but you got to do something, right?
Absolutely. And so the Wild West Trail is a physical trail, right? We did it. However, it's also sort of a
metaphor.
It's a metaphor, right? Exactly, for a path to freedom. If you let yourself
follow the path to freedom.
Right.
Walk. And if you don't know how to do it, you can literally walk the Wild West Trail and you will be free at the end of it.
You'll be free at the end of it, absolutely. And look, if that's not for you, that's okay. That's why we make this channel. It's so that you can watch us and then incorporate that into your life.
Right, find your own venue of freedom. Because ultimately, if you don't have complete control over every decision that you make, then you're not a free person. And that's not easy to do, and we know it's not easy to do. I mean, listen, I've lived in filth for the last 2 years here, building out the homestead, and it's not easy. Not everybody can do it. You go to a third world country to learn a new language. You don't know anyone down there.
See.
You know, you're exploring they kind of like a frontier in itself, going to a different continent, not speaking the language. And why did Carmen go there? Because he's finding more freedom in Argentina than you're finding in New Jersey, of all places.
Absolutely.
And really, in most of the United States, because the United States, if you guys are from there, which most of our viewers are, there's a lot of constricting elements, shall we say. Now, I love the United States. That's why I live in Alaska. I think Alaska's the last frontier. It's the freest place in the United States, which by default is the freest places in the world. But there's also a lot of freedom to be found in other countries. And yeah, Argentina was nice. I went down there to visit Carmen. Went down to Patagonia, of course.
Yeah.
Took some time out in Buenos Aires.
Yeah, you were in Ushuaia.
The exchange rate, by the way, is insane. It's like 1,000 to 1.
Nah, right now it's around 510.
510?
510 pesos to 1.
510 pesos to 1?
As of now. But last year was 270 pesos to 1. So this is what happens when you have 100% inflation for 20, 30 years. It starts out in the mid-90s, the Argentinian peso was 1 to 1 with the dollar. And then it was, 2 to 1, then 4 to 1, then 8. And now we're at a point where it's over 500 to 1. It's untenable to the situation. So the country is, sort of descending into some unrest. But if you have dollars and you go down there to help stimulate the economy, well, I mean, that's best for everybody.
Yeah, but they're a very cohesive culture, so their version of unrest is not like our version of unrest.
Right.
There's no riots in the street. There's no one burning down.
No, there's protests. There's
some
protests, but they're peaceful. They are peaceful protests.
Mostly peaceful.
Mostly peaceful.
Mostly peaceful protests.
Ain't that the truth?
I mean, listen, every country has its problems. There's a reason why it's so cheap, but that's why there's our first product we ever sold, the Wild West Trail Bowl. Silicone, unbreakable. But I mean, that's why Argentina is so appealing, because if you want to seek out if you want a freedom max freedom your lifestyle, you need a home base. Have a home base in Alaska, have a northern command, and then you need to have a place outside the United States, because you want to diversify your portfolio, diversify where you live, And so looking for Southern Command, somewhere that's warm when it's winter in Alaska, is imperative to the mission of this channel, of freedom, of finding the best possible solution to this little thing that we're blessed with called life.
Absolutely, well said. And you know, one of the things that struck me when I was living down there was, you know, all the people down there are trying to get up here, but a lot of the people up here are trying to get down there.
Yeah.
You know, and
grass is always greener.
Exactly, one of those things. So I guess the best advice is, I don't know. I'm still figuring it out
Go with
myself.
your gut.
Go with your gut.
I say go with your gut.
But the fact is, if you're, you know, and I think this is part of why I left, you know, the States. You know, I just knew there was more out there, and something was calling me, and it led me there. And you know,
are you gonna go back?
Oh, no, I'm probably never gonna go back. So like I said, it's a really terrible place, and I'm not gonna do it. So you shouldn't either. And
so you're going back?
I'm going back. I'm going back. I plan on going back like every year, like, forever. I mean, because you know, why not? And it's just, it is really so much cheaper to live there. You wouldn't even, like, it's hard to even put it into words. I can give you the numbers, but until you're actually there going like, what?
What's the quality of food like?
Quality of food is excellent. I mean, let's be, you know, it's hard to find a good restaurant anywhere, right? So there's good restaurants and there's bad restaurants, but there is, you can have the creme de la creme, and you're spending, like, in a restaurant, like $25 a meal for like the number one restaurant, like South America, like for steak. So, but generally speaking, you know, I was spending about $40 a week on groceries, and I had anything I want. I was having like ice cream and meat and all this stuff, vegetable, everything. Like you get like a kilogram of carrots for like 50 cents. You know, you get like
steak is what?
Kilogram.
$3?
No, if you get a kilogram of, I was getting like my cut was it was similar to a New York strip. It's called bife de chorizo, but that's similarly priced to the ribeye, which is ojo de beef, bife de ojo, sí. But I think it was for the kilogram, it was about, no, it was half a kilogram, so about a pound. So they call it a pound for about $2.
Pound of good beef.
Ribeye.
Pound of ribeye for $2.
Yeah. And this is the premium one, because at first I was buying like I thought it was going even cheaper. So I was buying the older meat for, like, you know, instead of $2, $1. But there is a quality drop off. It's like, why not spend the extra $1 to get the fresh meat? You know, so I was doing that at first. I was like, I don't need to fucking buy this shit. I can spend the extra $1. But put it in the perspective, you know, if you're a local down in Argentina, you'd be lucky to make $10 in one day. So for you to spend 20% of your day on a cut of meat is kind of a lot. But for me to spend $2, it's like, it's like nothing. It's like a no-brainer.
It's a problem.
So no, it's a great place. And the people are wonderful. And
I remember them being so friendly down there.
Exactly.
It's nice to be to a country where people are friendly and nice and welcoming. And listen, I don't speak the best Spanish. Some people say I don't speak any Spanish, but I try.
Those would be people that speak Spanish would say that.
Well, but you know, you try and you just respect their culture, and they respect you. That's what it comes down to. And I live in a tourist area, so I know what it's like to have a bunch of tourists in my backyard. And honestly, I don't mind the tourists in Alaska. Everybody here is on a trip of a lifetime. And I love being around that atmosphere. I love people getting so excited to catch a salmon in the river for the first time. Actually, you caught your first salmon today.
Yeah, absolutely. So I got here a few days ago. We actually this is our second version of this podcast. We had technical difficulties with the first one.
First one was technical.
It was a good one though. So we're trying to, if we can remember something.
We're recapping.
We're trying to recap the magic of that night. But I got here a few days ago, and every single day since I've been here, it's just been full. But not in a bed, not like full of like work and being all stress. No, it's just been full of life. Like, first of all, the gym here is amazing.
The Iron Asylum.
Oh my God, dude, this is one of the best gyms I've ever been to.
Yeah.
I've been to gyms on, well, two continents now.
Two continents,
but
multiple countries.
Multiple countries, many states,
many
exactly.
cities.
So I've been, exactly. This gym, first of all, it's a 24-hour gym, but it's not like one of those, like, fitness gyms.
It's not a Crunch Fitness.
Exactly.
No,
this is
it's a powerlifting
gym. 24 hours a day. And they got every machine. They have machines I've never seen before. So the gym here is awesome. It's about just, you know, fucking working.
Yeah,
you got to be strong.
You're there to work out. You're there,
yeah, you're there to work out. No
work
bullshit. The music's good too, by the way.
Always hard rock.
Yeah, it's just
Metallica on repeat.
Yeah. And then, well, yesterday we climbed, because I want to get to the fishing story today, but yesterday we climbed Exit Glacier, which
National Park.
And we'll put some
Kenai
photos in here. I
Fjords,
think we'll put some photos in, or check the website for the.
But it was the Harding
upcoming
Ice
vlog.
Field. It's the largest ice field in North America.
And you're saying how big was it?
Well, it depends how you measure it. So if you measure it just by the ice field, so they count glaciers as different than the ice field, and the glaciers are the tongues of the ice that reach south and actually push down toward the lakes and push through the valley. So every glacier also has its own name that's basically coming off of this ice field. But if you count the glaciers, the Harding ice field is as large as Rhode Island.
I mean, yeah.
And it's right behind us. There's mountains behind us, and those mountains are actually, that's where the ice field is. They're on top. It's on top of those mountains.
Yeah, so we actually hiked up the other side of those mountains.
The other side of those mountains.
Which
yeah.
we measured it with GPS was 52 miles as the crow flies.
As the crow flies.
So 52 miles that way.
So we could technically walk there from here, which is kind of cool.
Yeah, we could do it.
Possible.
But I'll tell you what. I mean, it was really impressive to be up because it was only a 4-mile hike in from the road. I've never seen anything like this. Like, I mean, in the lower 48, especially, and I haven't really done the big parts of Patagonia to really speak to them. But you know, I think I was just so struck with, first of all, how much the sort of the biome changes on on that ice field, because you can see it. If you were to just go like this and like cut out, you know, your immediate lush sort of surroundings with the greenery, and just look at it, it's like you're looking at Antarctica or something. And they have those pyramid tough shapes, and
they're eminence. I think they're called eminence. The eminence is when the mountain peak rises above the ice field.
Eminence.
I think they're eminence. I'm
eminence.
sure that's the word. I'm pretty sure that's the word. They
call
it eminence.
Well, that makes sense because there's something
there's something majestic
about mountains in and of themselves. So you're up there and you're kind of struck with this. It's just kind of an awe-inspiring to know it's the size of Rhode Island, to know it stretches it's that sort of vast. And
it's huge.
And we saw 2 people traversing that ice field.
Or walking on it.
Well, walking.
I'm not sure they went to the other side.
No, they didn't go to the other side. But we estimated they walked at least an hour in.
An hour in onto the ice.
Yeah.
And then they had to come back.
Yeah. So that was pretty cool. It's like nothing else that I've seen that close to a road to be that majestic. It's just not really possible in the lower 48.
There's also no guard station, so you don't have to pay to go.
Right.
You just park and walk up, which is super nice.
Yeah, yeah.
Because I think
you shouldn't.
I speak for everybody watching that we pay enough federal income taxes. We don't have to be paying for our own parks. Now,
speak for yourself.
Now, I do have an idea to stop with the overcrowding of national parks, and that is to charge international people 10 to 50x what we charge American citizens to visit our own national parks.
Well, is there any precedent for a joke like that in the rest of the world?
Well, that's a great question, Carmen. Why would we charge international people more money to see our national parks? Maybe it's because every other country has an international rate that's separate from the local populace who pays taxes to the parks.
I experienced this.
Yes, and I'm not talking about, they're not paying 50 cents more, $1 more. We're paying 10 to 100 times more. In Thailand, we're paying 100 times more. So yeah. I don't understand why we're not charging foreigners who come to our country. They'll pay it.
Right.
Make them pay it.
Right.
We're paying taxes every paycheck to support this. And we love the national parks. We love the parks, but we want to help them. We want to see them thrive. And we want American citizens to enjoy their backyard.
Yeah. And
first and foremost.
Yeah, absolutely. And,
absolutely.
And I think there's some issues with cultural differences when people come to the parks.
Yeah, there's an issue with bathroom behavior specifically that we've noticed. Yeah. Not every country and culture respects the use of bathrooms,
right?
Which we take for granted. It turns out,
right?
You know, we're like, oh, public health and cleanliness. Not every country believes in that, or maybe people aren't aware of it, but it's kind of gross.
So it's just kind of an interesting thing to ponder. But so anyway, so that was yesterday.
That was yesterday.
And then today we ended up. We went to the gym. We actually found some pretty good Jersey pizza, pretty decent.
Yeah, there's a good pie place, Pizza Boys.
I want to try a slice in every state just so I kind of know. So I had to know Alaska pizza, not bad.
You got to go to there's bad pizza in Alaska.
I bet there is.
There's a lot of bad pizza.
But that one you took me to the good one, so that was pretty decent.
I did the legwork so Carmen doesn't have to eat through the shit.
Yeah, that's how it is. I appreciate that. I do. But then the highlight would be on the dock.
Oh, right. We went to a dock here on the Kenai, and it's just a beautiful spot on the river. And the Kenai River is blue because the glacial silt makes it. It's not necessarily. It's turquoise further up, but it turns a grayer blue, and it's this gorgeous color.
It was like a gray or blue is a good way to put
Gray
it.
or
I would
blue.
say it has a touch of turquoise still in it.
Just a touch of turquoise
Yeah.
still, but it is vibrant and neon further upstream, which is insane.
It's one of the which we maybe we check that
We're gonna
out.
float that.
We're gonna float that.
Yeah, we're
Oh,
gonna
film
that.
that.
Yeah, I think we're gonna have that.
We'll
we're
film
gonna
that.
float the Kenai River. I think that'll be
We'll do a float
good
the
little
Kenai.
video.
We should have filmed the hike up to that mountain.
We should have. We should
should've-
have done the
should've
Harding
done it. We
Glacier.
did it though. We definitely did it.
We did it in 4 hours.
Yeah.
Not
So
to brag, but pretty fast.
it could be done.
Yeah.
But
so we're here on the river. Carmen's never caught a salmon in his life.
Well, like the Chinooks.
Oh, we're true. We did catch salmon in Idaho.
Yeah.
That we got that on video. Okay, so but we're catching ocean run salmon here. So
It's a different animal.
there's I hated Carmen to fly rod. I've never been fly fishing, Joel.
Yeah.
Carmen, we're not fly fishing. He's like, yeah, it's a fly rod. I'm like, we're flossing, and I actually have a whole video explaining how to floss. You guys can check it out. But you basically take a bunch of split shot. I think we had like 7 split shot on the line.
Yeah.
Big chunk of lead, and then a leader that's what 6 feet long.
Yeah.
So 6 to 9 foot leader, and a big old single hook on it. And then you want to put a little bit of yarn, or in this case, we put like a little rubber bead on it, and that's so the hook floats in the water. And you cast it at 10, and you're casting. The leader itself is 6 feet long, and then you maybe have another 5 feet of line on top of that.
Right.
And so you flip it upstream, let it drift
Right.
downstream, pull it up quick because you want to catch the fish in the mouth. You don't want to snag it, and so you're doing this motion.
Right.
And Carmen is like, "There's no bait on the hook. I can't. The water. You can't even see through the water. I'm only casting like 5 feet in front of me. What the fuck are we doing?"
Right. And it went on like that for a little bit, and then but people around me are catching fish. People
Right.
around
Other
us are
people
catching-
start hooking into
and we're
fish.
seeing people across the river catching fish.
Yep.
So the fish were in to
Fish
some
are in.
extent.
The
To some
fish are
extent.
in.
And then you hooked into one at first, weren't
Yep.
able to bring it in.
Yep.
And then kind of like we were like, we took a little break, had a nice little lunch, and then we're like, let's give it another 30 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
And then right into that, I'm just down, and then you just
Salmon.
salmon. I'm like, I think at first it wasn't running,
Mm-hmm.
and then as I pulled up more, it started like, it's a fish. I got a fish, and it was strong, man.
Strong
Just
fish.
Strong fish,
And that was a big one you got. That was like a 7-pounder.
yeah, it was about 7 pounds. Yeah, we got a photo of it. I'll put it up.
That's a nice fish.
I couldn't believe it. And I wasn't ready for how strong it was. So like,
I mean, these things are jumping up waterfalls.
people ever lose poles?
Oh, poles break. Poles snap in half.
Okay, yeah. Because I was surprised with how he was pulling it, and like it was so. But anyway, it took about a few minutes to get him in.
A few minutes.
Took him
and
a
then
few
try to wrap itself around the dock. So we had to get 2 nets in there and get this fish out of the water before it wrapped around it and snap.
But we brought him in, and here's what I want to say about it. So we brought him in, and we filleted him, and I have never seen this color I've never seen the color in my life. I mean, it's
vibrant.
It's such a vibrant shade of like
Salmon.
Literally salmon. I
That's
guess
the color.
that is the
That is the
color.
color.
But it was the
But
most.
it's-
It was
it's
the
like
most.
neon.
It was like neon salmon. It was like, you just look at it, you go, you can just see how healthy
you can
it is.
eat it. You
Oh,
know
you just know
it's
you
edible.
can eat it. Yeah.
It's got the salmon color. When you see it in the wild, you're like, obviously this is edible.
Right.
Like there's no like, it's deep in your DNA. This is what we're supposed to eat.
Right.
This is exactly what this is. Little packets of nutrients swimming up the river.
Right. So maybe we'll do a little like a cooking video. Maybe.
Oh, we should do a salmon cooking video.
Maybe we'll be able to see that.
Yeah, salmon cooking video.
But here's what I'm struck by with Alaska. It's my first time. So first of all, I just want to say thank you to Joel for extending the invite, because to be honest with you, I never would have came here. You know, I mean, because I've always wanted to come to Alaska, but it's like, it's so like, you're gonna stay in a resort. I gotta like
you gotta rent a car.
rent a cabin. I gotta rent a car.
You
need
go to a hotel.
It's all this stuff, right? So I just was like, but now that I know someone here, and I had the invitation to come, I said, you know what? How can I not do it? How can I pass up this opportunity? And honestly, I'm so happy I came here, because it is like we were saying earlier, like the yin to the yang. Like I really do like South America.
It's yin.
This is the yin.
Yin,
it's the order.
Yin to yang, not yin.
What did I say?
Y-I-N. A lot of people say yin yang.
Yin yang,
It's
tomato,
yin yang.
tomato.
It's yin yang.
That's what I said. Yin.
Yin.
Yin yang. That's what I said. The yin to the yang.
Make sure.
We're rewind. I'm pretty sure I said yin and yang.
Yin. It's the yin.
Yin yang, yin.
Yin. A
Y-I-N.
lot of people say yin.
I didn't say yin.
All right.
Yin yang.
Well, a lot of people do.
We can record. Look, we'll go back, but I'm pretty sure I was. In my mind, I say yin.
But you're right.
Yin, but I say it fast, yin yang.
Yin yang.
Maybe when you say it fast, it does sound like yin yang. But in my mind, I'm thinking Y-I-N.
Y-I-N.
But maybe I'm saying it when you say it fast, it comes out that way. So
maybe.
We'll go back. We'll find out. In any case,
but that's a good point. It's the yin to the yang. If Buenos Aires is the yang, the wilderness of Alaska is the yin.
Yeah, and it's the order to the chaos.
Yes.
Right. I mean.
Well, I would argue it's the chaos to the order, but I understand either way.
Yeah, it goes either way, and that's the beauty of
either way. Yes, the yin and the yang.
Because
which one's yin and which one's yang?
And but notice this. It's two colors, but there's a dot of white in the black and a dot of black in the white. And why is that? Because there's a touch of each in both.
A touch of each,
right?
In both. Yes, and it can go either way.
And it goes either way. So there's I'm getting So that's
it's a very old idea. We didn't come up with it.
So the idea is this. I mean, in my mind, it's like South America is chaos, right? Because it's not the United States. I mean, it's still America. We'll give them that. Mm-hmm. It's in the Americas, and they like to believe
it's in the New World.
It's in the New World, and they are Americans. I mean, their ancestors left the same way our ancestors left. They just ended up in the South. So, but they don't have the Constitution that we have, the U.S. Constitution, and so I believe we're blessed to have that, and we take it for granted. Most people take it for granted in the U.S.
They don't even realize how important that founding document is, because on a historical level, the United States is the only country that was founded on the idea that the individual has the ultimate responsibility to live their life how they want to live, unhampered, unhindered by any other power. And the reason for that is because we are bestowed by our Creator by inalienable rights.
Right.
Now, every other country doesn't have the belief that the Creator has bestowed the individual with the ability for self-government.
With sovereignty.
With sovereignty.
The key word here is sovereignty.
Yes.
So when we think about the word sovereign, we think about, what is a sovereign? A sovereign is... It's a lord, it's a god, right? A sovereign is an overlord sort of thing. But we have sovereignty as because we were given that by nature, by our Creator, and by nature of just being human beings, by being,
of course,
And
so to have the idea that an entity, a government specifically, has the ability to stop you from prospering, from using your property as you choose to, from arming yourself, from protecting yourself. The idea that the government can stop you from doing that doesn't make sense in the United States, because these are inalienable rights that were not granted to us by a human.
Right.
They were granted to us by something more powerful than any of us are.
Exactly. And so the only thing sovereign in reality are human beings. We are real.
Right. And if every human being is sovereign and has the same ability to be successful or fail, then how can we trust another human being to tell us how to live our lives better than we can?
Absolutely.
And that's what makes the United States so amazing, because we know that nobody else can tell us how to live our lives better, and they don't have the ability to tell us what we can and cannot do.
Absolutely. And it's really because we delegate, by entering into this social contract, we delegate some of our sovereignty to the government. We delegate some sovereignty for governance. And we say, okay, we're going to delegate some sovereignty so that you have the ability to protect the nation, to protect the borders.
Well, to specifically protect property
But
rights.
because we delegate that sovereignty, we can rescind it. I mean, we can, it's not theirs. It's a piece of ourselves that we're giving to them in order to govern us
voluntarily.
Voluntarily.
They don't have it because they have it. They have it because we let them have it.
Right. Exactly.
Which is why.
By the way, there might be a Rumble section to this.
We're on Rumble.
We're also on Rumble. So
we do have 2,000 subs. We're getting large enough where YouTube might start to censor us.
Yeah. So the real conversations, I think, will be had on Rumble. They'll be here too, but I think when we, like a lot of digital creators now are doing this, where they're sort of multi-platform, just for
just in case.
Yeah, for redundancy. You could say.
Yeah, it's a redundancy.
It's a redundancy.
Or alert redundancy strategy.
But so I guess our point before we got into that was
that's why Alaska is so important, because it's still part of the United States of America that allows for the founding documents to rule, or not even to rule, it uses the founding documents as the founding principles for life up here. And if you're an individual and you're strong, you can take care of yourself, well, hell yeah, brother, come on up.
Right. Absolutely. And I think I was kind of struck with, and I was living down there for a while, and coming to a place like this is, first of all, it's just like, I could just see it, as I was on the airplane going from South America to New York City, from New York City to Seattle, from Seattle to Anchorage, from Anchorage to where we came here. And at every airport, at every stop along the way, I could just tell the people were, it was just the types of people were changing. It was the demographics were changing, the age of people was changing, all these sorts of things, and just sort of the general look of people in terms of like, ruggedness and sort of hardiness, and I just, there was a sort of individualism about, I sort of sense, and maybe it's just my mind, wandering there, but it definitely seemed like, it's a different sort that come to a place like this.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it takes that type of person to be drawn to a place like Alaska, because here's the thing: we don't have the infrastructure. We don't have the novelty-seeking infrastructure that exists in so many other places in the United States. And if you're a person who needs other people to be entertained, then this is not a place for you to live.
Right.
But here's the catch-22. In order to create a novelty-seeking infrastructure, it needs to be founded and created by people who are individualistic, entrepreneurial,
absolutely,
and hardworking enough to literally build the infrastructure for this novelty, for this pleasure seeking to occur. And that's kind of what we're witnessing in the United States. There was a generation of strong, hardy men, because that is who built the buildings, that is who laid the foundation. Let's be real, like, there weren't any women putting up power lines, okay? So it took a generation of strong, hardy men to build it, and then we create such an excess of wealth that we're able to have all this pleasure seeking, all this novelty seeking. And that's the society that we live in now. People are fat, people are happy, and people have no reason to work harder or to create new things, because why would you if you're fat and happy? And you can't blame them, they're fat and happy. I mean, we are genetically programmed to try to become fat and happy. Right. So once you hit that point, you have to then transcend your biological urges and understand that you are, bestowed by your creator with certain inalienable rights, and you should take advantage of them and do with them what you will. Now, listen, if you're a hedonist and pleasure and getting fat and happy, but if you're self-aware, I can't really argue against that. All I would say is not for me.
Sure.
Yeah. I don't think enough people out there are self-aware enough to realize that they're even partaking in this kind of bread and circuses around them.
Well, yeah, there's a certain, what do they call it, nose blindness. There's a certain level of, well, in the cities especially, I think it's...
Nose blindness. Yeah, you're surrounded by shit. You can't smell it anymore.
Right, exactly. Yeah. Kind of like this trailer. But it's just temporary. Yeah, but yeah, no, but it's very true. I mean, look, yeah, here's the thing. Look, I like to keep it positive. I like to keep it optimistic, because every day is a gift. I'm grateful every day to be here. It's like, we can sit here, we can bitch, and I agree with everything. At the same time, like, when I come to a place like this, I just feel hopeful. I really do. I mean, it really does make me feel like that. I'm like, man, there's still a place to go in the U.S., because the U.S. is the greatest country. We went off on that tangent, and I agree. It is the greatest country, but it's missing something. There's something. It's missing it's part cultural. The cultural decay that's happening is obvious, and I say that coming from living in two other cultures for almost 2 years, learning their language for the most part, really, hiking out there and just meeting local people in the towns and seeing the problems they have, and then seeing the problems they don't have. And so, why is a country like ourselves that has everything on paper, sort of falling apart in so many ways? And you really have to ask, and it's a very important question to ask. And coming to places like this, going to places like that, hiking the hike like we did, helps unravel the thread, helps sort of break you from the matrix, if you will.
That is the common.
I mean, there's no way to say it. It's literally like, it is really, it's like nobody can tell you what it is. You have to see it for yourself. It's like, and that was the idea with the Wild West Trail. It was like, we're not going to tell them how to think. We can't. Nobody, it's like, if you're a drug addict, nobody can make you stop doing the drug. You have to want to change.
You can't lead the horse. You can lead the horse to water.
And we could show them the map. We drew them a map. The Wild West Trail is the map. you know, and I really do believe that. It's like, look, I'm not saying it's the answer. There's a million ways you could get to a good place, but one of those ways is the Wild West Trail. I really do believe that, because it's just like it's a protocol. It's like, look, you can do any number of things to reach this, you know, sort of heightened stage of awareness, so to speak. But this is the thing that's proven, because if you do this thing, if you walk these miles through those fucking mountains, and you come out on the other side of it, you will never be the same. And you're gonna take that with you wherever you go, that experience. And that experience is such a rich experience. It's visual, it's physical, because your body's changing immensely, but it's also like in your mind, but it's like your soul or something. And it's like everywhere you go after doing a thing like the Wild West Trail, you just internalize it with that other information. It's your reasoning engine of your brain, but now you have all this other stuff in your database, and it's like, it's kind of like going into a foreign country where you don't speak the language, because you're saturated with sensory experience, and you're inundated with so much sensory experience, you literally can't make anything of it until you start recognizing patterns. So it's like the other day we were on the moose. We didn't even mention this, but the other day we were doing the moose stuff. Oh, to the naked eye, this is just a field. But then you're looking in the field and you see this path, and you're, oh, this is the moose trail. And then you see the moose droppings, and you're making sense. You're creating order in the chaos. You're finding rules, finding patterns. So what have I done over the last few years? First we created this trail. We hiked it. Then we go to new cities. Then I ended up in South America in a whole. I wanted to put myself in a place that was going to be the equivalent of this in a city, you know, in a new place. So it was like as hard as the hike, but in a whole new way almost, you know. But you come out of it with a whole new, you come out with a new language, or a whole new way of thinking, and then a whole new perspective on just culture in general, and how important the U.S. is, and why we need to really protect it. And so I think, you know, without losing my train of thought, I think it's something like, if you do the Wild West Trail, you know, it'll take you on a path that you may not ever have been on, and maybe you'll like it.
Both literally and metaphorically, exactly. Because no one else is out there.
Yeah.
Nobody else is in the wilderness. And I think that's why we're both so drawn and attracted to the wilderness. I might like it more than Carmen does, but Carmen keeps coming back. And on the flip side of that, I keep going to these cities. Because I do enjoy, and I'm not gonna say I listen. I like people. A lot of people think I don't like people. Of course, I like people. I wish everybody lived in Alaska. I wish everybody lived like me. That's one of the reasons I make the channel. I want everybody to be self-sufficient. I want everybody to be happy and healthy. Yeah. Why would I want anything else? Of course, I want that.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. And that was what struck me in the city. Is like, after being in the city for, you know, 9-10 months, even after 6 months, I was yearning for this. You know, and I knew you were, you know, you had the place open around now. Okay. And once July comes, I got to do it, because I needed it. Like, it's because, you know what it was? Because I had exposed myself to the hike of Wild West Trail, my body like knew it existed.
Your third eye was open.
Well, it's because it's like, well, if you don't know it exists, if you've never done it, you don't miss it. But if you do it, there's just a part of you that like yearns for it. You know what I'm saying? And like, yeah, it's not a reality that you could live in all the time or would want to, but to do that and then come back to the city is I don't know.
You can't unsee things once you've seen them, and once you have the taste. I think that's what it is. People have never even tasted freedom.
Right.
They don't even know how rewarding freedom is, because all they see is the hard work and the mosquitoes and the mud. But but once you experience freedom, there's no way you can go back, and there's no way you can give it up. And that's why it's so dangerous for free people to exist, because once you become free, you're never going back to slavery.
You know, I 100% agree with you.
The best way to keep people slaves is to never show them what freedom is.
You know what it is with the Wild West? I 100% agree with you. What it is with the Wild West Trail too is when we were thinking about this, we wanted to open people's minds. We wanted to chart a course to freedom. We wanted to chart a course to real human liberty. I think that's what it was. I think that's what it was.
Because in order to be free, you have to break the shackles in your mind first, and that's what the Wild West Trail does.
Right, exactly. That's exactly it. That's the idea of the Wild West Trail.
Embrace freedom, and freedom is hard.
Right.
Freedom is not easy.
Right. And so to this guy's comment, we appreciate that comment. We
It's a
really
good
do.
comment.
And this is why, this is what it is. The Wild West Trail. It's bigger than just a physical location. It's a path to a sort of new way of thinking,
Or a very traditional way of thinking.
a return to tradition, so to speak.
A return to truth.
Because you're walking in a way. You're walking. What you're doing is what humans always did until about 50 years ago.
Yeah.
Even.
Yeah.
It's 80 years ago.
50, 60 years.
Yeah. Literally, this is what people always did. They walked. And we were evolved.
It's
such a simple thing, but I don't like running. But I like walking. I like walking fast.
Yep.
But there's something about walking that people need to do. People need to walk. You need to walk. If you're not walking, you should walk around the block right now. You should turn this off and walk around. Just walk around the block once.
Yeah, you should be doing however many push-ups. No, you should be walking a mile, 2 miles,
Yeah.
3 miles, 10 miles.
Yeah.
Walk. You know, other YouTube celebrities might tell you to do push-ups. We're just telling you to go out and walk.
Right.
I think that's a nice motto. Walk. Maybe that should be our motto. Walk. Period. Walk.
Walk.
It's a sentence.
Walk.
Walk.
Well, not walk more. Not walk. Walk.
Walk.
Yeah.
But I mean, how beautiful is this? We're here among the trees.
Dude, okay.
There's so much life in Alaska, especially in the summertime. There's life here in the winter. Wintertime, by the way, is beautiful. Everybody thinks, no, it's gorgeous. But the summertime is even more spectacular because one, obviously all the plants are growing, so that's always nice. But two, there's salmon in the rivers. So the salmon are nutrients from the ocean. And the river takes all the nutrients from land and pushes it out to the ocean. It just floods out, you know, the glacial silt, it takes all the topsoil and pushes it to the ocean. But what's a beautiful thing is that the ocean then pumps those nutrients back to the land by throwing salmon up. It's an ecosystem, right? It's
Wow.
a beautiful thing. And this time of year, we have millions of fish swimming upriver, and all the birds, who actually have the same lifestyle that we do, go down to South America in the wintertime, up here in the summertime. So endless summer for the birds. All the birds are up here, and they all nest up here. This is where birds don't nest. I'm sure birds nest in South America, but the birds in Alaska who overwinter elsewhere nest here. This is their favorite place in the whole world. So we're surrounded by thousands of sandal cranes, robins, songbirds, jays, eagles.
You know, there's just something about.
There's so much life. I've never been to a place with so much life.
And there's like no pests, like not as many.
There's no mosquitoes.
There's mosquitoes, but like there's no like centipedes and snakes and
there's no reptiles.
Lizards and, you know, like you're walking through like, which is fine.
Well, that's why there's so many birds. There's not as many predators to eat them. Snakes eat birds. You know, lizards eat the eggs. They can get into the nests.
Right.
I mean, foxes will obviously poach.
I mean, there's giant mammals
nests.
roaming around.
Yeah, and moose are just
they're just roaming
7
around.
7 feet tall.
Look.
Bears,
we saw
1,000-pound brown bears. We saw a big black bear.
We saw 3 moose yesterday and one black bear yesterday. One big black bear.
Yeah.
3 moose and one black bear in one day, and then the other day we saw at least we saw the one moose in person.
Yeah.
And then the day after we pretty much seen moose every day, either on the road or here.
You just see moose every day.
There's just like, if you guys could, oh God,
the bounty.
Doesn't capture this, like the bounty of this place.
It's a land of plenty. And a lot of people think it's a land of plenty in spite of the cold. No, these animals live here because of the cold. Like specifically halibut and moose. Halibut and moose don't live further south because they can't. You need cold winters. You need cold winters to have hardy spruce trees, to have hardy birch trees, to have hardy people.
Right.
And I think there's a type of person who needs winter. And you know, that type of person finds themselves in Alaska. Because even now it's like 58 degrees.
It's just perfect.
It's 58 degrees.
Beautiful weather. I mean, I like this.
You have
I
to
love
wear a
this.
jacket.
This is
peak summer.
This
is
great.
Awesome.
I'm wearing this because I'm coming from summer and I'm just you know, I'm kind of
He's
I'm
got
not
some
adjusted
thin
to
blood.
it.
Carmen doesn't like winter as much as I do.
But I do like it. But I don't like it. I don't like love it. But I like it. I like it. But you need it. You need it every once in a while. You know.
I think you need a little bit of winter every year.
A little bit of winter is good.
But that's the nice thing about Alaska. You can leave for a couple months and still get a couple months of winter. Which is nice.
And like we're drinking water from the mountain yesterday.
Oh, that's spring water.
I mean, I feel great. I just feel great from the water. I just feel great from the air.
We're drinking. I got a well, so we're completely self-sufficient on
Yeah.
well. The electricity is made 100% by solar, especially this time of year. And the food is the fish that we're catching and the moose that I shot.
You just look around, everything's green.
It's one of the
It's
greenest
just so
places
green,
I've ever
dude.
been
And
to in my life.
Man, I don't know. It's just like an interesting place. And it's just, I think this is like, man, I think it's hard not to think about the North American continent, the East Coast, that was like this at one time.
Yes, the United States was founded in wilderness.
You know, when I think about guys like Thomas Paine, Thoreau, Henry Thoreau, and all their writings, you know, if you read their writings, it's like they were informed by this. Like their writings, like they were living in this. Like Henry David Thoreau, like this was his type of
Teddy Roosevelt.
With Teddy, you know, these great thinkers throughout history. I mean, go into the wilderness. I mean, Jesus, right?
Yeah,
he went into the wilderness.
Yeah.
I mean, I think it's like there's something about
the burning bush.
There's something about going into. I mean, all you know. It's just, and every culture has the story where they would they'd send them out there. The Native Americans.
You have to find yourself in the wilderness
because
you have to be completely away from basically support nets. You have to be able to fail in the worst way possible. And if you never put yourself in a situation to fail, you'll never put yourself in a situation to live. And ultimately, that's what it comes down to. You can't live if you got to risk it all. You have to put your life on the line every day to live the fullest possible life, and that's scary for a lot of people. I mean, and you have to commit. And I guarantee if you have an idea and you commit to it and you stake your life on that idea,
100%.
It will either make it or you die trying.
Right.
But we're all gonna die.
Right. And at least when you die trying, you're actually fulfilled till the day you die.
Yeah, at least you're living.
You're living every day.
You're living till the day you die.
And you know, that's what people are asking, like, what are you doing? I'm like, oh God, I'm just trying to just enjoy this beautiful, like, this sphere of this oasis of life in the vastness of nothing.
In space and time.
In space and time, right? In literally space and time, right? This time and place is such a. It's hard to believe that it's just some. It's hard to believe that it's just some accident.
Yeah.
I mean, you're out here connected with this, and you're just like the way you're just explaining the way that the ocean and the fish nutrients replenish the inland, and it's like this Earth is self-sustaining, like, you know,
and we are part of the ecosystem.
Right.
We're not alien to it.
You know, he carved out his plot of land here, and you know, before he carved it out, there was like, you had all this black spruce, and it was swampy. People thought it was swampy.
It was garbage.
But you clear it out a little bit, and it dries out.
I filled it in, and now I have an apple orchard.
Right.
And you know what? There was no wildlife coming through. We had some moose, but now I have robins. 2 families of robins nesting in my yard. Sandal cranes are coming in.
Right.
I have more moose now than ever before.
Right.
They love it.
Right.
It's incredible.
That's why you call it improving the land.
You are improving the land. I'm creating more biodiversity on my little bit of land here in Alaska than exists for miles in every direction.
And you know, the unfortunate thing is that people in Washington D.C. have never been to a place like this. They've never experienced this.
Well, people in Washington D.C. have never experienced a day of hard labor in their life.
And so that's
really the problem.
That's the issue, because this country is founded and built upon to this very day on the people who do exactly what you're saying. That's how this country is what it is. The 10% of the people are doing 80% of the work.
Yes. Yes, this country is propped up right now by the hardest working members of society, and the unfortunate thing is a lot of these guys who are working really, really hard, supporting a family, grinding every day, they think everyone else is doing that too, when in reality, they're part of the 10 to 15% of people working. Everyone else is just leeching off of them.
Right.
I mean, for the most part, pretty much every government bureaucrat is leeching off of somebody else working.
Right.
And correct me if I'm wrong, but most.
Well, you comment below,
yeah,
guys.
if you think that's not true, let me know.
Right.
But it's also true if you look at corporate structures, for example. And I've worked in a lot of companies where a lot of people are actually producing. And if you start looking at the return on investment because if you work for a company, you should make the company more money than you bring home. Because that makes sense.
Right.
Because you're working. That's why they're paying you money. You have to do a service that creates more value than it was worth when you did it, right? That's the only way it works.
Correct.
And so if you are in a company and you're not producing any value,
What the fuck are you doing?
Why are you even there?
Well,
And then
why do you deserve a promotion?
Of course. And then here's the thing: that's why there's a boom and bust cycle in the economy, is because when people wake up to this fact and cuts are made, who do you think they're going to cut? Are they going to cut the producer? Or are they going to cut the people who ain't working?
Right.
And now this could get this problem of, it's the free rider principle in practice. And the problem with it is that if there's too many free riders, even the people who are working are going to get burned, because ultimately it's just, smoke and mirrors at the end of the day. And then I think that's what we're facing the country. And because of the incoming population collapse, the stock market won't be growing as it has been in the last 20 years, because there just won't be enough people to put new money into it. Right. Furthermore, there's going to be more old people than young people, so Social Security is going to be completely worthless.
Right. Inflation.
And then we got inflation. So, listen, this isn't financial advice, but I think the only things that will be worth money in the next 15, 20 years are tangible assets that you can touch, hold, taste, eat.
And take it... Exactly. And taking that to its conclusion, it's like, okay, well, if you have a self-sustaining property in terms of if you're getting your electricity from the sun, if you're pumping your water out of the ground, if you're growing, and on a very small piece of land, you could grow enough for plenty of families.
Yeah, for multiple families.
Multiple families.
On a quarter of an acre, you can grow for multiple families. Even in Alaska, you can do that.
Even less. I mean, yeah. And
imagine if you lived in a place with an even longer growing season.
Right.
Forget about it.
And so, I think that's inevitably what we're going to have to get. What we will get back to, because if what we have today falls apart, the way people are going to survive is exactly like this, because it'll be the only way to survive, because you can't rely on any, and we're already seeing the breakdown in supply chains.
Yes, if you think the supply chains are going to get stronger,
this is just the beginning. I mean, people are not working. They're not working. I mean,
not working.
You see it. I mean, I having been out of the country.
Have you been to people watch it? Have you been to a restaurant recently? Were you able to get good service or good food?
Right. There,
maybe not.
People, because honestly, with a lot of the minimum wage laws, it's actually really tough.
It's tough because
this whole economy,
this doesn't pay me enough money to work.
The problem is,
it
the farther and farther we get away from free market principles, the harder and harder it is to manage, because then you're trying to do what the market does naturally. You're trying to turn the dials in the right place at the right time, when in reality you can never do that. The market finds its equilibrium, and it provides the negative effect of every single government policy outweighs the benefit. But you point to a government policy, I'll point to the negative impact.
Of course. And here's the analogy. Well, I'll take it because a government program is like a leaky bucket, right? But at least people are getting water. Okay, that's a fair point. But at what point does the leak, how big is the leak when it becomes immoral?
Right.
And let's put a number on that. Is it 10%? Is it 20%?
Right.
Is it 30%?
Right.
But let's just put a number on it and agree. Like, the second government waste becomes 20% too much, then we have to cut back.
Right.
But we can't even get to that conversation because they just think of it from a moral perspective, but at least we're trying. No, the trying is the problem.
Right.
We need to fundamentally understand what's happening, measure the return on investment for people, and see if maybe leaving people to their own devices actually encourage them to live a better, healthier, stronger life.
Well, this is what all the founders wanted. This is what they all talked about.
Of course. These aren't new ideas.
Right. I mean, this is why this was part of the inspiration for even, doing anything, in the Wild West Trail or
the 13 colonies.
Or even believing, look, I'll tell you right now, there's a lot of things going on with this country in terms of just living and how hard it is to live here. And the truth is, like, if it wasn't for the beauty and the logical soundness and the sort of importance of the U.S. Constitution, I'd probably be living in South America.
Yeah, permanently.
But I believe permanently, because it was so cheap to live there. It's like, why would I ever leave? Oh, because I'm an American, and I am a patriot, and I don't want to give up on this country. And I think that it would behoove a lot of people to get out more, to travel, to walk, and you walk wherever you go. Like some of my best days in Buenos Aires. Buenos Aires is a great walking city. I could walk from Recoleta to Palermo. So that'd take you a little bit of time, but you'd be there in an hour or two, a couple hours. Yeah.
He's a walker.
And I'm a walker, and I walk fast. And I run into the same problems down there that you do. There are fast walkers down there, which I respect, but there are lots of people who are just like oblivious to you walking. But, especially when they're old, I respect that. But when they're just like a couple of like, ugh, like fucking move, okay? But I'm a walker, but it's a great way to see a city is to walk it, or any place if you're any place. And that was the interesting thing because we've both flown. Obviously, you've flown plenty more, but on the Wild West Trail, I hitched that ride, and it really struck. And we can maybe we'll post that link to the other video there. The one where
you hitchhike in an airplane?
Hitch on the
yeah,
airplane.
that's Wild West Trail episode 5.
Because it shows the clip that I'm thinking of where I'm showing down on the trail. I'm literally filming the burned out trail, and in my mind I'm like, oh my god, it's right there. That's it. Because to see it from the air, I've been in airplanes before. Okay, it's cool. It doesn't look crazy. To be there on the ground is a whole nother experience. You're seeing it from a
bird's eye view.
A bird's eye view to a first person view. To a first person like on the ground view, and it's like now you're smelling the trees, now you're feeling the dirt, now you're like, you're hearing the fucking bugs, and it's just totally different thing. So it's like, wow, it's just that. But no. So anyway, you have to get out more. You have to get out, travel, go to some other countries if you can do it.
Yeah, get a little experience under your belt.
Get some experience, but
come to Alaska and homestead.
Or homestead, yeah.
All of the above.
All the
Don't
above,
limit
all
yourself.
these things. You can do all these things.
There's no limitations in life.
There's no limitations. There's a way.
Limitations.
Where there's a will, there's a way.
As
As simple and as cheesy as that sounds, it's so true.
Yeah. If you keep running into roadblocks where other people are telling you you can't do this, you can't do that, then you have to go somewhere where those people don't exist. You just have to leave them.
Right.
And you know what? At the end of the day, ultimately, they're gonna be the ones worse off because you had the balls to go make something in your life, and now these fucking parasites who told you can't do shit are gonna watch their town collapse and wonder how come we can't get young people to move here because of the fucking taxes, grandma. That's fucking why.
Right.
But I want my social security. Well, you could have saved money yourself.
Jesus. Here would be my addendum to that. I would say, look, I agree with you about social security. It's a bad deal for everybody, but at some point you kind of have to honor the obligations that were made, right? These people who depended on it, these people who have it now, you can't just cut them off.
Why can't they just print more money?
Well, that's the other thing, and that's the other thing, because as we were saying earlier, like you're working, you're getting taxed like crazy. And then they're just printing money, sending it to other countries, like to this war. They're funding this war I don't know if I can mention the names because, Ukraine.
Over in Uzbekistan.
Right, exactly. So, you're sending all this money. Meanwhile, you're looking at the cities, as particularly the cities, but everywhere. I mean, you're seeing it in the cities especially, but they're falling apart. The infrastructure's falling apart. All these train derailments, all this stuff. The country's falling apart, and we're sending countless billions that we're just printing, and we're just printing it.
Yeah, we're not. It's not like it's not even like we're taxing people.
So we printed so much fucking money. What were they? It was 80% of all money ever printed.
Well, how much is gas right now?
That's what I'm saying. So what happens when you flood it with money? Oh, inflation.
Yeah, because money loses its inherent value because there's more of it.
Right. It's the simplest principles.
Well, inflation is a tax.
It is a tax.
It's a tax.
So we've all just been. Well, of course they're taxing us because the money's got to come from somewhere. And the way they do it is it's a tax over time, and that's why we're all born indebted $250,000 to the U.S. government. Born with that debt. If you look at the debt clock.
Sure.
And it's like, you're right, it is a tax because it has to. What is a tax? It's a tax of your labor. It's a tax of your labor and your time. Well, you can't just print that out of thin air. At some point, the what are they? They got to. The rooster, what do they say? At some point,
well, at some point,
when push comes to shove, sort of thing.
Yeah, there is one objective truth, and we can pretend that there is multiple truths. My truth, it's my truth. That's your truth. You can pretend there's multiple ways. You can pretend there's multiple universes. You can pretend there's multiple versions of reality, but ultimately, it will come crashing down, and the one true reality, the baseline of truth, will rear its head, and everybody who stuck their head in the sand and pretended like there was multiple truths out there, they're the ones that are going to get burned.
Yeah.
And so if you actually do believe in self-preservation, you would live in the most truthful and honest way that you know how. And because at the end of the day, ultimately, if you don't treat yourself honestly, you're just lying to yourself. And that never ends well.
Well said. I agree. You know, we were out there the other day on the Argo,
Oh, yeah.
and
The tank.
the tank, and it's an all-terrain sort of vehicle. Floats.
It's an amphibious.
It's an amphibious vehicle.
Chain-driven vehicle.
Eight tires, and man, we got it stuck a couple times.
A couple times.
And you know, you had the winch. We got out, but it was a struggle, and we got it out. You know, and you know, there's nobody to help you. There's nobody to save you.
There's nobody to call.
There's nobody to call. Like, you bring all the stuff yourself, and it's like, you know, you're out there. I mean, you may only be a few miles in, but that terrain is so rough that it's like, yeah, that few miles is so impenetrable by basically any vehicle. You could walk it, it'd be miserable.
And you're not gonna be, if you walk, you can't carry any supplies with you.
Right, exactly. So you get a sense of the state of nature. And this sort of reality that you're talking about, this sort of hard truth that I think you're talking about, is like, is reality itself, is sort of the nature of,
well, it's the idea that there is a greater power that we don't completely understand, and if you pretend that there isn't, you will ultimately fail. And in the short run, it makes sense to pretend that there isn't, because, well, I want to do this, I want to do this, I want to cheat, I want to rob, I want to do whatever it is, for the most amount of pleasure and the least amount of effort. But and that's what our economy is doing, and the economy is just a fancy way of saying a bunch of individuals doing things on a grand scale.
Right.
And ultimately, there's a bunch of individuals who aren't living for the future, a bunch of individuals living for the moment, a bunch of individuals who refuse to plan ahead. And ultimately, when a bunch of individuals refuse to plan ahead, it's going to take one calamity to reset everything. And, you know, COVID was a pretty damn good wake-up call. And if you're still not ready for what's to come,
right.
Listen, if you're watching this channel, you probably are going to be ready for what's to come, because obviously you think whatever the hell we're doing is interesting.
Right.
But we're not going to get burned. And that's not going to happen to us. And we're never going to go hungry. We're never going to be in want of heat or electricity. We'll never be in want of friends or family. And we will always come out on top because we're hardworking, honest people.
Mm-hmm.
And at the end of the day, if you ain't hardworking, you ain't honest.
Right.
Good luck.
Right.
Good luck, because when you need help the most, there's going to be nobody there for you.
Right.
And hardworking, let me define hardworking. Well, I like to work hard. No, you don't. Hardworking people create value for those around them.
Mm.
If you're not creating value for anyone around you, then you're not hardworking. You're busy. Being busy is not hardworking. End of story. Right? Is that harsh?
No, but you know what? It's. I think you're right. It is harsh, but it's a harsh truth, and I think it's necessary, because this country, unfortunately, has become full of people that are just busy, and they're not really producing anything.
No, they're just sucking it in like vacuum cleaners.
Right. And you know, I respect to a large degree anybody who works, anybody who has a family and goes to work every day and has a house and takes care of their family. You have to respect it. That's what we're talking about.
Of course.
That's it. That it literally is it.
That's what and that's why our economy is failing, because
Right.
people aren't.
There's not
doing
enough
it
of them.
anymore.
There's just not enough of them. So that's why I think we both sort of found this sort of return to tradition, and it's like, well, I do. I'd love to have a piece of land like this, and find a nice, honest woman.
Well, make an honest woman out of her.
Make an honest woman out of her. Exactly. Right. Right. And then, you know, what do they say? What you know, sort of stake your claim and work the land, improve the land, and produce something.
Yeah, and in doing so, you're improving the community.
You know,
helping the people
we
around
had
you.
The other day. You know, you look at some of these trees. There's tons of birch trees. He tapped some sap out of one of these birch a few months back.
Yeah, in the spring you tap.
In the spring, and you stick a tap in, you get a hose.
Yeah, just like a maple tree.
And you put it into a bucket, and one of your neighbors here makes birch wine. And let me just tell you this: I was in Argentina, as we've said, for almost a year down there. Drank a lot of wine, and it's some of the best wine in the world. Incredible wine. This wine that I drank was delicioso. It was fantastic.
It's a white wine.
It was like just like you said. It tasted like a dry Chardonnay.
It's good.
It was absolutely delicious. So it's like, okay, so yeah, you got a tree over here that's producing wine. You got apples that are going to be producing all kinds of stuff, liquor included. juices, sliders. You're gonna have tons of vegetables. You got moose. You got bear. You got salmon. You got, I mean, what else? What more could you want?
Oh, by the way, there's oil and natural gas coming out of the ground.
Oh yeah, we were in that bog, and there's literally oil just coming out of the ground. I mean, this land is so rich in resources, and I say resources like just everything here. It's just so lush.
And there's gold in the rivers too.
We gotta go gold panning.
You know what we could do? We could create a currency that's based on gold, so it has a real value to it. That's a good idea. Has anyone ever tried that before? That's a dangerous thought. No, this has been really fun, Carmen. Happy to have you here.
Yeah,
in
dude,
Alaska.
I'm glad to be here. I think this was a good talk. I think I would like to make this a yearly thing. You know.
Oh, you're gonna come up here every year now to Alaska.
Well, if the invitation's open, I think the viewers would love to see it.
Well, I think if the viewers want to see it, we should work.
I'll tell you what.
out.
If we get to 3,000 viewers,
subs,
3,000 subs by this time next year.
You're coming up?
I'll book a flight.
Oh, we got to grow up by 1,000.
So what are we at? We're at 2,200?
Yeah, we're about 2,200.
So we need to make 800 in a month, in a year. So please, if you're not already subscribed, if you want to see me come up and you want to see some content, put it down in the comments. We'll do any video you want.
We'll do anything.
If we get to 3,000 though. So please share it with your friends. And
no, that's actually easy. If we get to 3,000, there's a good comment. If there's some hike or some outdoor activity you want to see us do or throw Carmen through, completely unprepared, it'll be fun.
Oh, we're gonna do we mentioned we're gonna do the kenai.
Yeah, we're gonna float the kenai in the canoe.
We'll float the kenai.
Try to catch some fish. That'll be fun.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Share, like, subscribe. Walk.
Caminando.